Hello to the chicas and the chicas. Today we are going to do a little bit of opening analysis, and somewhat uncharacteristically I'm going to actually engage with a line that is bordering the suspicious, but it is a whole heap of fun, and lately I have scored a fair few very nice victories with it, so I thought that I would share some of the ideas with you about this particular line against the Alekhine's defense, and it goes like this. E4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, c4, knight b6, and here comes the key idea, a4. Now, I don't know if this is not new to you at all, or you have seen it before. I have seen in certain forums that this idea was associated with Levy, but then someone contradicted it, saying that Levy actually did not put it in his course. I don't know if it's in there. I heard somewhere that a Ukrainian master from Lvov or Lviv is the mastermind behind the move. Either case, this is my most recent, most favorite dodgy opening for sure. A couple of days ago, I bumped into a certain FIDE master. I decided to cover his name out because I don't like, rubbing it in when things really go sideways. So suffice to say, I played a blitz game against a FIDE master that went like this. And then after the game, I will show you some of the intricacies. So d6 is potentially one of the most logical moves, but I think that the engines prefer a5 to deny the a5 push altogether. The reason for that is the fact that after d6, a5, knight d7, if you just take on d6, you simply get a very good Alekhine with a lot of extra space, and you feel like you have played a lot of pawn moves, many pawn moves, very much against my beloved principles. But let's not pretend that we didn't recognize the fact that the Black Knight ran a full circle and played no less than 4 moves itself, landing on a square where it's blocking the diagonal of the bishop. So now likely a 5th move is going to come by, and then we are back to normal, right? But we have got our pawn on a5, which at times can come really, really handy. Restricting the black queen side to some degree. But what needs to be noted, although this is objectively the sound and best way to play against d6, that every time I had this position, I could not resist the temptation of pushing a5 in and then pushing e6 in. Now the engine disapproves of this, but this is a lot of fun. This, by the way, is reminiscent to the idea also from the Alekhine, where after d4, d6, knight f3, knight c6 is not a move in the Alekhine, and the reason why is because we have got c4, knight b6 and e6 here, utilizing the idea that the bishop can't capture due to the fork, and after fe we have got the same problematic pawn structure, in particular the pawn on e6, which blocks the bishop's diagonal and development, but also compromises the safety of the king due to the weakening of that diagonal between h5 and e8. And so I was kind of thinking of those ideas and variations when I played e6 in this game, and then I played d4, and I went like, let's have a look at this, shall we? And here black needs to play very precisely, otherwise it is very easy to fall behind and find ourselves in a troublesome position like this. He played knight f6, I went knight f3, he played g6, and as far as I'm concerned, white's response here is basically the mandatory h4. If you say A, you say B, as we say in Hungarian, in for a penny, in for a pound in English, for sure. Now we got to go the full Monty, and boy was I happy to do this. Bishop g7, and of course, if you say A, you have to say B, and if you say B, you got to say C as well. Now the pawn got captured, and let's say D as well, rook takes h5. And the best part of it is that there is absolutely nothing unsound about either h4 or h5 or the exchange sack. Always sack the exchange, by the way. Takes and knight g5. And at this point, I just had an adrenaline rush because I felt like, oh boy, am I coming for you? Now, I completely and 100% was certain that I completely anticipated castles, and I was certain that this was coming. And the plan was that after take, I would play bishop d3, and I wasn't quite sure about the finer details as to how to continue, but it's super easy to immediately lose the game. For example, queen e8, that looks like a very logical move. You go check, you go bishop g6, the queen moves, knight f7, game over. Or you can even pull back, depends on where the queen goes, right? So you just come back here, shielding of the diagonal, and bang, bishop takes h6 is unstoppable, the game is over. That's how quickly it can go. That is how quickly it can go. My opponent instead played h6, which I just went like, what is that? Takes, and once again, and I really don't mean to show off, but you absolutely must. Like, you just have to do this, right? Like, the position is screaming for the sack on e6, especially since knight f7 is useless on account of queen e8, and we are pinned. So I sacked the piece. Now, of course, I'm a full rook down, but I am having all the fun. And here, something very, very peculiar happened. I was live streaming this game, right? And so when we got to this position, I started calculating the idea of queen check, and I backed out of it, and I called it out because of queen check, king f8, and all of a sudden, I've got nothing, is what I said. And so I backpedaled, and I went, yeah, okay, so I'm just going to check down the bishop, and we are golden, I'm down in exchange, but the king is as good as toast. I will show you how the game went because I will come back to this point because this is one of the finest points of the whole game, and to some degree the line itself as well. So I went queen g4 check, took the bishop, and I played bishop e2. I was hesitant between this and this. The reason why I went e2 is because I thought that bishop d3 could be well met by bishop f5 when it's still unclear where my knockout blow is, I think. Although an idea just occurred to me now. Can I take this? Yeah, maybe they can take and then hope for the best here. But white is definitely winning here. Anyway, so I played bishop e2 because I wanted to sell this checkmate idea. Checkmate. So bishop f5 played. Now I took on h6, somewhat similar to the previous line. But now, of course, against rook f7, I would have bishop h5. My opponent played king d7, but simultaneously resigned the game because the f8 rook is hanging. I anticipated rook f6, against which probably the cleanest win is bishop g5. And now the bishop h5 check is incoming. If the rook drops back, then various ways to finish the business off. But the coolest one is the rook lift. And that bad boy is the very core, at the very heart of the a4 idea, as I'm about to reveal it to you. King d7, rook e3, and black is going to collapse on e7. Rook e7 is threatened, and rook e8 loses to bishop h5. The game is over. Once again, my opponent blundered, or yeah, gave up the rook and then resigned immediately. 19 moves. I defeated an FM without any dramas. And then on stream, I went on to analyze this game and I found out a lot of things. In particular, that absolutely crazily, the best chess move in this position, by a very fine margin, or it bounces to and fro, but at least as good as queen g4, is queen f5 check, followed by queen g6. And only when I played it out did I realize that, oh my word, rook a3. And when I did this, in my head I went like, surely I'm gonna go check bishop f6 and kill. No. Not even close. The main threat, I'll demonstrate this against the null move so you see it, is this. And the bishop has nowhere to go. Absolutely stunning stuff. Bishop f6, Bishop takes, rook takes, and mate. Wow! Absolutely bananas. Like, even now, for the second time I see it, when I went rook a3, I'm like, yeah, sure. Rook f3, bishop h6. No. It's rook g3. And if rook g8, then bishop h6. And again, absolute carnage city. The only defense that black has here is pawn h5. With the idea that after rook g3, they have bishop g4. Crazy city. And here goes the fun line. Watch this. Rook check, bishop here, bishop check, take, take. The king has to go this way, check, and king d7. And at this point, I started analyzing the position without the engine first. And I couldn't for the life of me see the win. And the funny thing is that initially the engines do it in positions where there are possible move repetitions with various checking ideas. And the engine goes like check, king here. Check, king back, check. So they don't actually show you the idea they have, even though the evaluation indicates that they don't look for a perpetual check. Anyway, long story short, I found out that the absolute wildest idea here is to go check, king e8, and the only winning idea here, is queen e4. What? Queen e4 with the threat of rook takes f6. And black is absolutely and utterly busted. The idea is the following. King e8, I take f6. Takes, takes, and no worries, it's mate. Yeah? And yeah, there is not a lot they can do. If they go king f8, then all of a sudden queen g6 cuts the king off, and there is this mate pattern incoming. Queen e8, you go check here, and once again, various ideas win. Bishop d3, or queen check, queen back, queen check. Yeah, no, I think, I think it's actually bishop d3. Or maybe check and then bishop d, but then there's queen f7. Yeah, I need to go here. Check, check here. That's it. Wow, this is also insane. I didn't realize how beautiful this line was. Queen here, and then bishop here. Hello? Okay, and if queen g7? Then queen h5 check, king here, and rook g7 again, rook g3 again. It's just mental. It's just mental. But there was another very cool line here that I want to show you. I'm trying to remember how that one went. Queen e4. This was crazy. Was it some rando bishop move? Oh yeah, this is not bad either. That's right. Yeah. This is what I wanted to show you. Check here and then rook f8 traps the queen. Best stuff ever. Best stuff ever. So, long story short, this line is an awful lot of fun. And the reason why I made a big deal about this rook lift, because this is the whole idea. If they play in this position against your a4, a5. And after rook a3, this is worthy of analyzing, but it's surprisingly playable. e6 is, in my opinion, really bad because after rook g3, well, really bad is harsh. But it's difficult now to organize the king side, and you just very quickly bounce out with your pieces. And you're basically holding on to an extra rook in the attack on the king side. d6 is better. And then after take, take again, rook g3 or d4, knight c6. Sorry. Come on! d4, knight c6, rook g3 is the way to go. And again, a very, very fun position. And the engine gives you a 0.3 advantage for white. I mean, you would take that in any opening, let alone a dodgy a4 Alekhine, right? Now, to conclude this video, I will show you something that is bordering the outlandish. In fact, it is outlandish, but I want to show you this because it's so much fun. I played a game a fair while ago. This is another piece of analysis, by the way. So the ED6 line, according to the engine, goes like this with the subsequent castles. And white is doing great. Pawn down, but black is struggling here. Anyway, I played this blitz game, right? This is how that one went. But once again, brace yourself for utter stupidity here. So I played here knight f3, which is not good at all because I'm blocking my rook's path across. But luckily my opponent allowed here to steady the ship a little bit by taking with the knight and then bring the rook over. Now, everything I do is utterly unsound. Do not, I repeat, do not try this at home. f6 played. What did I do? Of course, bishop g5. Of course. Because if one is hanging, why wouldn't we hang both of them? So this was my way of defending the knight, and the bishop can't be captured on account of knight f7. But of course, the main idea behind this move is revealed after pawn takes, which was rook takes f6. With the idea of bringing the queen in from the h5 square for a checkmate Reno. I'm still dead lost, but now the only winning move for black is knight c2 check, which is not an easy find. Decoying my queen and then taking on f6. Instead, my opponent took, and then this is what happened. Check, check, bishop takes, bishop e7, and for the coup de grace, c5 check. And my opponent resigned the game as the only legal move, king takes c5, allows bishop takes e7, winning the entire house. So, in summary, ladies and gentlemen, this is a really cool line in the sense that 0 sidelines are given for black. Like, everyone plays knight d5, c4, knight b6 only move, and after a4, you are in your home cooking, home-tested, secret weapon line where a lot of fun things can go down. I very highly recommend this to players who are ridiculously aggressive attackers and people who like to stay away from theoretical debates and like to explore uncharted territories. No such thing in chess really anymore in the 21st century, but relatively speaking, this line is still quite fresh and still a lot of fun. So make sure that you give it a go next time and you tell me how you went. Please don't forget to sub, to like, to super thank me if you can. Don't forget that the merch shop now is up and running. As a matter of fact, if you go to the main channel, now there is video, shorts, blah, 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 shop at the end, so you can access it via YouTube too. That was it for me now. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.